tonight with us who is going to enlighten us with all the networking wisdom. But before that, I wanted to introduce us to all of you. My name is Raj, and me, Cynthia, and Wendy, we started this meetup almost 8 months ago with a single goal to learn and grow with each other and to meet all the great people, all of you, basically. So that's why we are here. And so with that, I wanted to. I wanted to thank all the Stanford Ignite alumni who helped us, for the volunteers and the co-organizers who helped us selflessly to make this meetup happen, especially Grace and Chetan and Pawan. So a round of applause for these guys. And I also wanted to talk a bit about the host and the sponsor for this meetup. Workspace is a startup which is hosting this meetup, and Workspace is a distributed team software. So if you have a distributed team and you have people working all over the world, you can actually sign up for this software online, and you will be notified when our beta is available. And also Mrs. Moskowitz Munchies, they are sponsoring the prizes tonight. You might have met Mrs. Moskowitz, and she's also one of the Stanford Igniter with us, and she's going to also tell us her story. So with that, I want to ask Cynthia to come over the stage, and she's going to entice you with a game we call 6-word game.
Hello, Igniters. It's so great to see so many new and familiar faces here today. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a short, simple game Raj mentioned. It's called the Igniter 6-word game, and many of you might be familiar with the game either by coming to our meetup before or through the emails we sent you guys explaining what the game is, and we also posted this on our meetup website. But essentially what we want you to do is tell us what your secret of effective networking is and describe that in 6 words. So think about what are your tips and tricks of when you network with other people? What do you think really works well? And describe that in 6 words. So once you've come up with that, give a minute and think about it. Think about what's your networking tips and what you think it works effectively when you're networking. And then the way that you submit that is we're going to have like a little competition here. So submit that on Twitter. So if you guys have smartphones, if you have a smartphone, take out your smartphone and go to Twitter and tweet your 6 words, whatever those 6 words are, and be sure to add the handles, #networking, #Igniter 6-word at Workspace. And we will read through your submissions and pick out the best one, and the winners will get some awesome prizes. This game will be open until 8 p.m. today. If you forget what the handles are, they're also kind of posted on the wall over there, if you can see that. So think about that for a second. Start thinking right now, actually.
You have used all these hashtags or one of them?
Yes, that's how we kind of identify exactly which ones are submitting for this one.
Characters, and how can you put 6 words?
Well, it's only 6 words, so how long can the other 6 words be, right?
It will have 9 words.
Yeah, exactly. So go ahead, take out your smartphone and go to Twitter and submit this. Again, we will have some really awesome prizes, which are graciously sponsored by Mrs. Moskowitz Munchies, which brings us to our next section. Actually, I have an example for you as well, in case you were kind of getting stuck. One of the examples that we came up with is just keep doing it nonstop, and then you be sure to put in the #networking, #Igniter 6-word at Workspace. So go ahead and submit that. You can continue submitting that while we move on to our next section, which is our Igniters moment, where we invite Igniters like you guys to come share with the crowd here your ideas. And I mention that the prizes today will be sponsored by Susan from Mrs. Moskowitz Munchies. So today, Susan Moskowitz is here to talk about her amazing munchies, which I hope you all tried today. And go ahead, Susan.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Moskowitz, and this slide is from 1996 when I was a finalist for Best Snack Food. Before I tell you my story, I just wanted to mention that I've had nine careers, and this was my favorite one. But in the back, at the back, you'll see my picture that was in the New York Times in 1996. But what brought me here is really thank you to the Graduate School of Business Ignite program. I'm a proud graduate of the class of 2013. So let me start with my story. My story began in Passover, a Jewish holiday in 1994, when we didn't eat any cereal or bread, and I came up with this recipe, and we were eating it all day long. And I sent some to a friend in Minnesota who said, "This is so good, you should package it." And I thought, okay, package it. That'll be my next career. So I went around, and my 10-year-old daughter actually got me my first customer, which was a bakery in Palo Alto. And I was in 3 stores in the area. And then someone said, "This is really a fancy gourmet snack. You should be in a store like Neiman Marcus." So in those days, you got to think way back. It's really before the internet, and when people were just starting to use it. At least I wasn't doing anything on the internet in 1994. So I used FedEx and sent a bag of munchies to the food buyer at Neiman Marcus. She opened it up and said, "This is delicious. I'm going to order 800 bags." So all of a sudden I had this huge order, and I hired 2 people part-time, and I got into Neiman Marcus. And then I was in Bloomingdale's and 400 stores. But because, and there I am, my claim to fame, in the New York Times, on Sunday, July 31st, 1996, it was like a full page. And it was a wonderful, exciting time. And between 96 and January 98, I sold to 400 stores throughout the U.S. But you would think that that would be enough to stay in business, but it wasn't. And so I made my rounds to venture capitalists, but they didn't want to fund any food. My husband and I had already invested 6 figures, and I had a daughter that was 12 by now and a son in college. And so I had to close in 1998. Then I had a few other careers, and while I was at Stanford, one of my graduate students, I managed grant money in the Department of Geophysics, and one of my grad students was in the summer pre-program, which is what it used to be called before it was Ignite. And I wanted to go to class with him, and he said, "No, you can't go to class with me." And then I found out that the Ignite program was open to community members. So I applied to the Ignite program in the fall of 2012. And I was so anxious that my application was submitted before the information session. And so when I got the email saying there's an information session, I thought, okay, I'll go. So I went, and I remember sitting in the audience. Yossi was up on stage, and there were about 150 people there, and there were 2 of us with gray hair. So I raised my hand and I said, "What's the oldest person you ever accepted?" And the answer then was 55. And I thought, oh, I'm never going to be accepted. And they do ask you how old you are on the application. So I walked out very discouraged by the event. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, I got an email inviting me to a group interview. So I was so excited. I went to the group interview, and I was one of 6 people. And then, of course, I walked out of the interview not being confident in my ability to get into the program. But to my surprise, I got accepted, and I ran over and I paid my fee right away. And now I'm part of a special group of people, which brings me to this event. So during Ignite, the students were my friends, and some of them warmed up to me a little faster than others. One of them in particular, Daniel Yoon, said, you should restart this munchie business, only this time don't focus on stores. This time you should sell to the companies that provide free food to their employees, like Google, Yahoo, Box, Facebook, those kind of companies. And that's really what my focus is going to be. And I can also sell directly to consumers. So that's the approach. I will not be selling in stores because the stores have these big margins and it just can't compete in that manner. So in terms of getting to be friendly with the Igniters, we had a wine and beer night at the Old Pro in Palo Alto. And this was early in the program, and as I said, some people were more friendly than others. And Daniel came up to me and said, okay, it's your turn to ride the mechanical bull. And I thought to myself, well, I've climbed the Sydney Bridge, I'm going to ride the mechanical bull. And so this is a little blurry, I don't know why, it looks good on the screen here. And I'm riding the mechanical bull. And this is my wonderful Ignite team. Haley's here tonight. Anil and Janelle and Evan Yost and Wendy. Hi, Wendy is streaming. Wendy, she's streaming from Singapore. And I had a good friend that actually just traveled to Singapore and hand-delivered Mrs. Moskowitz's munchies to Wendy. So she's got munchies there too. Oh, this, can you all see it better than I can because I'm up close?
Fine.
This is another Ignite event. This was our goodbye party to Wendy, knowing she was going back to Singapore. And Yossi, the director of the program, is in there with us. And I can't remember this speaker. This is a previous meetup. Cynthia Everett McKay. So now, munchies are reinvented, and I basically have told you the approach this time, and I am selling them tonight, so when it's over, you're welcome to have a few more samples and meet me in the back of the room after Mike does his presentation to buy munchies or refer me to any of your companies that provide free food. The ingredients, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, are almonds, walnuts, dried cranberries, coconut, honey, matzah, and it's drizzled in chocolate. We call it fuel for innovators. And here I am cooking. When I'm standing here, it looks very blurred. I hope it shows better back there. Okay. That's my contact. And I also have business cards in the back.
Thank you, Susan. I'm really... I'm really personally very inspired by Susan, how you're reinventing your munchies. You know, in networking, I heard a really true quote, which is, networking is all about helping other people to help you. How can everyone here help you, Susan, in your venture?
The way you could help me is by telling your friends about munchies, and if you are at one of the companies that does provide free snacks to the employees, please send me an email or stop by and talk to me so that I can contact your company, because then they'll give you munchies for free. And I have come out with a gluten-free version that will be on the market in about 8 weeks.
So if I refer you to your my food manager and they buy your munchies, then what's in it for me?
Then you get free munchies.